All right, good afternoon, happy Sunday everyone, or Monday or Tuesday, depending on when you're watching this video. But Alan checking in from Blue Evolution 312. Also the team mascot Hugo's in the house. We got a nice cold day today in Chicago, got some snow coming tomorrow. So this is actually, believe it or not, as you guys can see, beautiful weather. No leaves on the tree, snow on the ground, dead ass grass, but believe it or not, this is a warm day in Chicago. So thought today that we could shoot a video on the EVO. I know I had mentioned it in other videos that the car had, caught on fire and was not running a few weeks ago. So today I thought we could, talk about that, take a few looks at the car under the hood, and kind of see what's going on, and then talk about next steps with the vehicle. So let's get to it. Alright, so we are back in the garage here, and the point of the video today, as we talked about, is to talk about how this beautiful 2011 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution caught on fire at 120 miles an hour. This happened right before Thanksgiving, and I gotta say, honestly, it was probably one of the scariest things that's happened to me in my life to date. We were doing some highway pulls in Mexico, of course, with some friends against some Euro cars. Some 5-cylinder crazy Audi turbo stuff and some Volkswagen and BMW, but basically doing some highway pulls in Mexico, and at about 120 miles an hour an oil line literally came off the turbo, is what we believe, because we haven't had the car looked at yet, and sprayed down the exhaust manifold and proceeded to catch the turbo blanket and exhaust manifold blanket literally on fire. So I literally had flames shooting out the hood vent in the vehicle. So the folks that don't know that the EVO's got a hood vent, it actually has a hood vent right here. So I literally had flames shooting out the hood of the car at 120 miles an hour. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and pop the hood here, and we'll kind of take a look at the car and see what we're dealing with. As I said, the car does not run at this point. It's not running. I had to get it towed back to the house after we broke down in Mexico. That was an expensive towing bill, as you can imagine. But my plans are, at some point in the spring to get it over to Boost and Performance, who does most of the work on the vehicle, and have them take a look at it. But let's get the hood opened up here and kind of see what we're dealing with. It is a mess. This is honestly the first time that I've looked at it since it got towed back that night. So as you can see, Sam, maybe if you can get a little bit closer, Sam's videotaping for us today, and I'll get out of the way of the light. But as you can see, I used to have a turbo and exhaust manifold blanket, like a Kevlar blanket that a company made to keep the heat off the firewall back here, right? Because as you can see, very close. I mean, in terms of the clearance with the exhaust manifold and the firewall, and you have all kinds of electrical wiring and stuff that obviously can catch on fire. So, so this thing, basically, the blanket caught on fire and ended up saving the car. If I didn't have a 1-liter bottle of water, ironically, in the car that I was bringing around just for a drink. Shame on me for not having a fire extinguisher. So all you guys out there that think you don't need one, it's just for the Fast and the Furious. I would highly recommend getting one, and will be getting one myself, that's for sure. But if I didn't have that 1-liter bottle of water, at that point we're just dumping the bottle of water on there. I mean, pretty much freaking out. We pulled over off the side of the road. I killed the gas in the car, jumped out of the car, grabbed the bottle of water, had about a liter in the bottle, and it somehow was able to put it out with the help of my buddy's jacket. Thanks, Dave Hernandez, my good friend who was with me that night, but I still owe him a new jacket. At that point, we ran out of water and the fire was still going, and he took his jacket off his car and literally was doing this, and it burnt a hole, through his jacket at that point, but it was able to put the fire out. It looks really bad here, with the fire. Shit, it's itchy. The fiberglass and stuff that's all over the place, but I'm hoping that everything's going to be okay. I think, honestly, the blanket ended up saving the car, literally the wiring, everything. I literally think that this thing still might be okay. But the big culprit, if you can see, it's really dark down there, but the big culprit was the two bolts came out of the turbo where it meets the exhaust manifold. Kind of hard to see in there, but basically the turbo separated from the exhaust manifold. And two of the bolts, I don't know, from the heat from the turbo that it produces, if the bolts back themselves out and got stretched, I'm not sure, but basically the bolts backed themselves out, and then at that point the turbo started separating from the manifold, and at that point the oil line came off and started spraying everything down, which was, you know, obviously at that point hundreds of degrees, and caught on fire. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the trunk. I did save the go ahead and stay there, Sam. I did save the blanket to show you guys what was left of it after we ripped it off the car. But basically, as you can see here, I mean, this thing literally, it's pretty heavy duty, and I'm trying not to get fiberglass on my fingers. But as you guys can see, it's pretty much toasted pretty good. And this is what obviously attached here. So this is what's left of it that caught on fire. But I guess the lesson learned here is that, you know, this thing was really expensive, by the way. I can't remember what it cost, but I want to say about 500 bucks just for the manifold and turbo blanket. But I think the lesson learned here is that it saved my car, because if I didn't have this or that 1 liter bottle of Fiji water in the vehicle, I mean, this thing literally would have burned down to the ground on the side of the road in Mexico. So pretty scary stuff here. As you can see, Sam coming here, I haven't showed any of you guys this video. This is kind of some of the stuff in the EVO. We got the radium surge tank back here. This thing's straight up a race car. It's got 3 fuel pumps in the car. There is a single fuel pump in the gas tank that feeds 2 Walbros inside the surge tank for my E85 setup. So as you guys can see, it's not a simple setup, but I think next steps for the vehicle at this point are going to be obviously get it running and see where the damage is at. But I think I'm gonna get it over to Boost and Performance sometime, I'm hoping in March, if everything works right. Obviously having that kid any day now with Sam. So we're about to have a baby, so that's going to be interesting. But I think get it over there in March, go see Devin at Boostin', see what we're dealing with. I'm hoping that I don't have any kind of things like wiring harnesses that have been damaged. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could have gone wrong. Obviously the injector harnesses, I mean, anything basically wiring wise or harness wise that's under the engine compartment. I also wonder if the turbo's bad. I'm not sure if the turbo's bad. I honestly, my gut tells me I think it's going to be okay, but with the fire that night, I don't know if it survived, or with the oil line that came off, if there was any internal damage done to the bearings or anything, but we'll find out. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the setup, to be honest with you. I'm a little frustrated with what happened with the full race kit here. I know there's quite a few people online that have had problems with the same thing with the turbo backing off the manifold. So once again, I'm not sure if it's from the heat that the turbo produces and being, you know, in that tight space back there with the firewall. But you know, if the turbo's okay and it's still alive, I think I'll probably just keep it together and see if we can come up with a solution to keep the bolts from stretching and backing themselves out where that turbo meets the exhaust manifold. So I think if it is blown up, honestly, man, if the turbo is blown up, I'm probably going to sell the turbo kit and go with something different. I think I'm going to go back to a cast manifold. Something that doesn't have the issues that this has with all the heat that it produces and the lack of space by the firewall. So it's hard to say, but stay tuned as we go through the journey, guys. Much more to come. I'm not giving up on the car. I think my gut initially was to just go ahead and get rid of it, you know, because when something that traumatic happens to you, you tend to be a little frustrated. So my initial gut reaction was get rid of the car. I'm done with it. It's not safe. It sucks. I hate it. But since I have owned it since 2011, you know, at this point I feel like I can't give up on it. You know, I really do love the car. You know, and obviously with them stopping making the Evos, I really think they're going to go up in value. But I think moving forward, you know, I do want to tone it down a little bit, turn the power down a little. At 650 all-wheel horsepower, I just think I'm pushing the platform a little bit too far, and it's just obviously not, you know, not reliable at this point, which is what I would like to get back to, is something that, you know, was fun, that I could just jump in, turn the key, and go, and not think about it, right? Not worry about, is it going to idle right, or is it going to die because it's rush hour traffic, and, you know, traffic's too heavy and the cams don't like the stop and go. I would just really like to enjoy the car more and drive it more. So if you haven't stopped by the channel before, you know, please go ahead and subscribe if you guys like the content thus far, and if you can, smash that like button on the video. But much more to come on this beast as I drop it off at Boost in Performance in March, April, to get it back on the road. We do have big plans this race season. I do have some half-mile events that I am going to attend with the vehicle, and we will be towing it with this badass beast right here, Max, who's got his own plans right here too for a turbocharger himself coming soon. So once again, lots of stuff to come on the channel. I absolutely love this thing. So like I said, much more to come. Appreciate the 71 strong that have subscribed so far, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.